use local networking groups like, yes, your Chamber of Commerce. Most all cities, small towns have a Chamber of Commerce to generate revenue for your business. If you didn't know that, and I think a lot of online businesses don't realize the power of stepping out from behind the computer and being a part of a community, being a part of an organization, and from a financial perspective, how that can really benefit you if you have a skill set, if you're a service provider, if you have knowledge that you can share with that community. That's an opportunity to generate leads. Or if you position it correctly, which is what we're going to talk about today, how you can really get paid what you're worth from a knowledge perspective if you present it correctly to them. So I have a special guest today who is going to share his story on how he was able to pitch a local chamber of commerce with some incredible potential financially for him. So that's going to be our topic today. As you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you today? I'm still home, Tampa, Florida, and going to be here for, I guess, probably a few more weeks before I have to head back to Virginia. So I'm excited. It's been past few days were super warm. We'd gotten into a cold snap, but we had a couple of warm days and now we're back to a little bit chilly weather. I know it's all relative because when it's 60 here and I think it's freezing, I know that it's probably like 30 or maybe even 20 or less than other places. But you live in your space, right? So, so again, as you guys are coming in, I'd love to know how you're doing. What's up with you? How was your weekend? All the things. We do. Good morning, Allison. I'm so glad to see you. So glad you're here. I do giveaways on all of my shows. So today is no different. We're going to be doing a couple of giveaways. So I'm going to pull them up on the screen for you guys. The first one is an awesome mug. So it's official. You're awesome. And yes, each and every one of you are awesome. We're also going to be giving away a Amazon gift card today. So those are the two giveaways. And then how do you win? You win by sharing your aha moments. I always get my fingers crossed. But share your aha moments in that area underneath with the hashtag aha so that we can enter you into the Wheel of Wow and we'll draw winners at the end. We'll make sure we pop those up on the screen so everybody will know who won. We will also put them in the Down Under area. Facebook gets a little weird if we start using the directing people to do specific things. So always try to just point, let people know where you put the aha moments. The more comments or the more ahas you share, oops, almost messed that up. The more ahas you share will enter you more frequently into the Wheel of Wow. Also, if you sprinkle this out into the world, we will also add you into the Wheel of Wow more frequently. So you have more chances to win. Who doesn't like to win? I don't know about y'all, but I'm just going to say real quick that Amazon is my friend. And, if I could get any amount of money off of my Amazon purchases, that the boxes seem to appear at my doorstep like magically every day, almost every day. I'm a little obsessed. If you think you need something and you think about it and you're like, oh, let me go see if Amazon has it. And then what's fascinating to me, this just happened. I just have to tell this story. This just happened to me the other day where I ordered something. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And by 6:30 in the evening, that same day, what I ordered from Amazon was on my doorstep. I'm like, what the what? That just blows my mind. I can't even imagine how that happens. Hey, Tim, so glad you're here. Jerry, glad you're here. West Virginia, awesome. That's just right around the corner from where I grew up in Virginia. So we've got Mila in the house. Glad you're here, all the way from Spain. Excellent. Tim is from Central Illinois. Excellent. So glad you guys are here. Sherry, oh my gosh. Well, happy birthday to you. Everybody, stop. I want to say stop, drop, and roll. No, stop and give a quick shout out to Sherry. It is her birthday. Happy birthday, Sherry. So glad you're here and spending time with us. Like, right? And then we have Wendy is snowed in Ontario. See, I know it's all relative. Here I am complaining because it's 60 degrees outside and there's snow in Ontario. Good morning. Good morning, Sybil. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Glad you're here. How's the weather up there? It's probably chilly, right? And let's see. So, yay! Thanks y'all for the happy birthday wishes for Sherry. Okay, so let's see. Seemed like there was something else I wanted to do before I introduced our special guest today. So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, our special guest today couldn't make it today. You're like, what? Like, how do we have a special guest if they can't make it? Well, we got together on Saturday and pre-recorded this. So I'm live with you guys right now, and I'll be with you the whole time, meaning I'll be definitely in the comments and stuff, but I always like to be transparent and let you know that we did pre-record the interview part of this. So I'm going to pop that in just a minute. But I wanted to set the stage a little bit for the journey that our special guest today has had. Now he goes into it and tells the story a little bit, but I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of the backstory. Let me introduce him to you first. Some of you I know probably know Chuck, or the bald guy, as you know, he laughingly refers to himself, and it's part of his brand. But let me tell you like the official bio, and then I'll give you a little bit more detail. So the official bio is he's the owner and chief bald guy at Bald Guy Studio. He's based out of Charlottesville, Virginia. He's had over 4 decades of experience with graphic design and marketing communication. He specializes in website design, branding, social media, and print design for organizations of many sizes. He has the largest online project he ever worked on was for the University of Virginia, where he managed a 50-person team that redeveloped a 5,000-page website. I can't even imagine that. And now he is teaching people how to make effective educational and marketing videos with their smartphones. So he's doing that as well as his web design business. So let me share a little bit about that journey for him. So probably a year ago, he approached me and said he was struggling to narrow down what he was going to do. So we worked with him for 3 months. And we helped him nail down his messaging and really get clear on what his thing was, so that it would be super evident. And that's one of the core things that I think we all need to do is look at our messaging. If somebody comes to our website and, they're the first impression, what is it? And do they know in 3 seconds whether you are for them or not? I mean, seriously, that's what we have to nail down. Our messaging has to be that clear. We have about 3 seconds. Some say as much as 8 seconds. I really believe that's skinnied up these days. I think people's time is less focused. And if they can't see that something's in it for them in like a hot second, almost 3, then they're just out of there. So we helped him narrow down his messaging. He realized that everything he was doing, and he was doing a lot of stuff with the government agencies, was all about helping them create video using their smartphone. So if you go to his website now, it's a very succinct messaging. And he talks about that. And then, that's his messaging, and people know, hey, that's what I'm looking for, they opt in very quickly, right? They know, yes, this is for me. So we worked with him on that. And then he joined my Design to Scale program, and we helped. And this is the part that's so important. But he wouldn't have been there if we hadn't done that first groundwork, meaning we had to figure out what his messaging was and what would attract people to him. Anyway, next piece was he joined my Design to Scale program, which is really about just helping people take what they know, package it appropriately, and market it with one strategy, and get paid what they're worth, what their knowledge base is worth. So it's kind of a 3-pronged approach. But long story short, we helped him craft his offer that he was going to put in front of the Chamber of Commerce. You know, we talked about pricing, we talked about the pros and cons. Anyway, then he was able to close a deal, which we're going to talk about in today's video, or today's interview rather. So let me get that up so you guys can talk about it before. I mean, you can hear the conversation back and forth, but before we do that, I want to paint a quick picture for you and why this is so important and why I am tackling this topic, because I think all of us, and I'm speaking to myself as well, this has been a learning experience for me, is that all of us have the opportunity to take advantage of our local networking groups. And I don't believe we're doing it. So I wanted to share this story with you guys so that you understand the power of your local networking groups. The deal that Chuck closed with his local Chamber of Commerce is most likely going to generate thousands of dollars of revenue for him. So they just said yes, the marketing is going to get in place soon, and then we'll know the true story. So we're going to bring Chuck back in a couple of months and find out how much revenue he got from this. But this is a great opportunity to understand the power of our local networking groups. So here we go. We're going to get Chuck on the screen, and you guys will be able to hear, and don't hesitate to ask questions as we go. I'm going to be in the comments, so don't hesitate to ask. We'll get all your questions answered. Okay, Chuck. So as we're getting started on this conversation around the Chamber of Commerce, I just want to kind of set the stage for the Chamber of Commerce is kind of like a networking opportunity. Small businesses join the chamber, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But technically, this could be leveraged for a lot of different networking organizations. You know, when I was first starting in social media, I did a lot of work for the Working Women of Tampa Bay. Same kind of concept, you know, but still. So what does the Chamber of Commerce do? What is the responsibility that they have to their members?
Yeah, well, a loose definition is that they're an association of business people, and the association is designed to promote and protect the collective interest of those businesses. Often it's focused on a given locale. So they will form around a city or a town, a state. There's a national association, a national chamber of commerce, and there are international chambers of commerce. So they can be super tiny. I don't know if you've ever heard of Scottsville, Virginia, but it's this cute little quaint town on the James River down south of Charlottesville, where I live, and they have their own chamber. Maybe a couple of hundred businesses, something like that. But they even though they probably have much fewer services, they actually formed around this same idea of a collective community that protects the interest of businesses. So some chambers have hundreds of members, some have hundreds of thousands of members. And one other key thing I wanted to point out is that chambers are some of the most stalwart and longest lasting organizations within a given community. Our chamber here in Charlottesville was formed in 1913, for instance. So let me ask you a question, Kim. I want to know what you think the formation date was, the year that the first Chamber of Commerce came into being. Any guesses?
Oh, okay. So, oh golly, I don't know. I'm going to guess and I'm going to just give it a 19 and a 10-year range, okay? Because like Gary, narrowing it down all the way to the year, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fail this test so bad. But I'm going to say the 1920s. I don't know.
That's actually what I would have guessed. And our own chamber here, as I mentioned, was 1913, so it predated that. You're not going to believe this, but when you think about the purpose of a chamber, this really won't surprise you. The very first chamber was formed in France, in Marseille, in 1599.
Wow.
1599.
Yeah, I've totally, maybe by hundreds of years.
Yeah,
okay, right. Hundreds of years. Wow. I would never have guessed, but it does make sense if you think about it in the context of, businesses organizing and trying to support one another. So There's been businesses around for since the 15th century, obviously. So,
Right. Well, since the cave days, I mean,
yeah, yeah,
if you were a hunter gatherer and I was, provided some other service, like I was good at turning stones into wheels, we might trade, right? So
yeah.
you could almost see the origin going back even further. But yeah, 1599. And then the first one that occurred on the North American continent was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and that was in 1750.
Wow,
So
seriously
yeah,
fun facts. So let me ask you this. What drew you to the Chamber of Commerce? When you, I mean, kind of tell the story. Like, how'd you get
yeah.
started with the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, being a business person here in Charlottesville, I've been aware of the chamber for years and years and years. And to be really honest, I didn't give it much thought originally. And actually, for years, I really hadn't. I just hadn't really looked into the value. But when I really started to ramp up my Ball Guy Studio business, and then the spinoff that I'm working on now, my video creation um, training, I reached out to a guy who's had been my landlord and asked him just told him about this new thing that I was working on. And he said, you know what, I'm going to introduce you to the president and CEO of the local chamber. And that's really where it started. So I kind of, in a way, I kind of backed into it because I didn't really mean to get involved with the chamber. And but this guy introduced me to the CEO and president, and wound up having a Zoom with her, and we wound up hitting it off, and had built this relationship. Of course, I did join, and now I've dug into it more, and I'm seeing a lot more benefits.
Well, along those lines, what are the benefits of joining your local Chamber of Commerce? I mean, we talked about like the intent behind the chamber is to promote business interest in their locale, right?
Right,
And
right.
before we talk about maybe the reasons, let me interject one other thing I was just thinking of. I know you talked about like they're all sizes, different. It can be a couple hundred people, they all the way to literally thousands of people in a chamber membership. But do most cities or small towns have a chamber of commerce?
Yeah, I think there's something like 4,000 or so chambers across the U.S. So my recommendation to everybody is look into them. Just, obviously Google it and take a look at what your chamber really does offer. Some actually went out of business through when COVID hit. They just couldn't sustain themselves. There are others like ours here that are absolutely thriving. In fact, digging through the website in preparation for talking with you today, Kim, I was blown away by some of the things that, even though I've been in the chamber now for about a year and a half, I didn't know that they
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
it's robust.
It
Seriously.
is. It really is robust. And I think a lot of these networking organizations or organizations that are um, organized to support the small business owner, they're like founts of amazingness. If you join, they're one, you're no longer alone, you have
Right.
that connection.
Yeah.
But the things that they do to promote each other is very fascinating too. And in many
Yeah.
cases they'll bring in, like what I did, they'll bring in training to their members.
Yep.
I did a lot of social media training, and so it gives you an opportunity, and it gives you an audience of your buyers. So
Exactly.
that's super powerful for you to understand that, if you're serving a small business owner, whether you're a service-based entrepreneur or whether you are, you have knowledge or you have a brick and mortar business, people, they're more likely to do business with people they know.
Yeah.
And, especially if you're service providers, all those businesses probably need certain services and they're paying somebody. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you rather it be you? So I think these these networking opportunities, chambers are probably the most well-known
Yeah.
across the space. They have great reputations, which leads me to, why should one join a chamber of commerce, get a membership?
Yeah, well, if you look at a couple of mission statements, I think you get a clue about that. The Charlottesville Regional Chamber's mission is join the chamber and build your career, your community. I'm sorry, join the chamber and build your career, your company, and your community. And I think that's a really key component about this. The more I looked around, the more I kept seeing reference to community. So this is something that you've talked about. So I reached out to Elizabeth Cromwell. She's the president and CEO of our local chamber. And I asked her for a statement, and I think she really nailed it with this. I'm just going to read this to you all. Businesses join chambers for a variety of reasons and desired outcomes. For many, that means building a customer base. Others build working partnerships through the relationships that start with the chamber. Sometimes they join to increase job knowledge or to develop future leaders within their companies. The chamber's role as a convener, an advocate, and an informational hub has been a lifeline for businesses in distress and also for exciting new ventures emerging in a post-COVID environment. So there's a lot to unpack in there. We don't have time to really unpack the entire thing, but it's basically, this convener of resources and services that have really supported businesses through COVID, because some 200,000 businesses, small businesses, went out of business through COVID. We're rebounding nicely now, but the chamber is a great place to kind of get on board.
Yeah, and I think too, sometimes when we're an online business, we think that these local organizations are just for brick and mortar businesses, and that is not true. That is absolutely not true, which is why I think a lot of people don't explore the opportunity, which is why we're talking about it today, because Chuck is a very powerful story we're going to share in just a moment. But it's really kind of fascinating how much opportunity there is in these, Chamber of Commerce memberships. In your opinion, are there really any downsides to being a member of your local Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, let's talk about the downsides a little bit, and then I want to come back and hit the upsides, because there are quite a number of really good reasons to join, and I think it'd be helpful for your community to learn a little bit more about that. So if you're really struggling, then a chamber membership is something to consider in terms of finances. So the one here in Charlottesville is around somewhere between $300 and $400, I believe, a year. Not that much when you consider the benefits. So there is a fee, of course, to join the chamber. The other thing, though, that people need to keep in mind is, just like everything else, you get out what you put in. So if you just pay your fee and occasionally glance at a newsletter when it hits your inbox, you're not getting any ROI back out of the chamber. So you could consider it a downside that you have to work, but you could also look at it as an upside, because it's sort of like being on LinkedIn. If you just have a presence on LinkedIn, but you're really not working on it or learning anything or contributing, you're not going to get anything out of it. The leads that you get are probably not going to be absolutely robust. I think there are probably other ways to get leads for your business, because frankly, your chamber, in all likelihood, unless you're in a big city, doesn't have that many members, several hundred. So, but that's either a downside or an opportunity, depending on how you look at it. The only other downside that I can think of is that you may potentially run into your competitors. So if you're a restaurant, you probably will have a lot of competitors within your local chamber. If you're somebody like me, a website developer, and somebody with a new program, not so much. There probably are other website developers in our chamber, but I haven't run into them. So then the networking component often now is in person, so you may literally run into your competitor at an after-hours event or something like that. But that's pretty much the summation of the downsides.
All right. Well, one of the things I think is interesting in the connotation of something you just said is your competition. So if you're an online business owner, chances are you will not necessarily find your competition there, which gives
Right.
you an opportunity, especially if you are a service-based entrepreneur. If you're a web designer or a artist, or, you're doing Facebook ads for small businesses,
Hmm.
all of those types of businesses, I think would be that. And not only would you be maybe one of a kind there, or unique in that value proposition that you could bring to the membership, but it would also flip the dynamic of one of the downsides, which
Hmm.
is, the lead quality, because how many people, all small business owners are looking for somebody who's doing web design, or
Right.
they're always looking for a graphic designer to do whatever, a new logo, or, social media, or list the things. There's all
Right.
kinds of things. So if you're, again, I think if there's a lot of small online businesses that haven't stepped into this opportunity, and that would give you an opportunity to stand out, because realtors dime a dozen and
Hmm.
restaurants dime a dozen,
Right.
but online entrepreneurs maybe not so much.
Yeah. And
So
the other,
what about the upsides?
yeah, well, I was just going to say that I think one of the upsides is the membership directory. So if you, wherever you live, my suggestion is to go take a look at your local chamber and click around, learn, try to get a sense of how robust they are, and then go to the member directory. And as if you're a non-chamber member, realize that you could be just a community member looking for a service, right? So it's not like the chamber member directory is exclusive to chamber members. So if there are only 200 or 300 or 400, 500, 600, 700 chamber members, that's one stat. The more important one is that your entire community. And in fact, there's no real limit to who can get onto that membership directory and start looking for somebody. So I think chamber members probably flock together. I drive a Mini Cooper, and whenever I park in a parking lot, if I happen to see another Mini Cooper, we just kind of park next to each other for fun. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. Well, in a more, you know, robust business sense, people really do tend to flock together with people who are like-minded. And so if you are a chamber member, it's something of a branding and marketing accolade that you can share. And so I think people do flock to other members of other chambers. So I would consider that as a huge upside. So let me just dive into a couple others. The number one for me is this community. And you mentioned this before, and I thought it was interesting that you came up with this same term, that you don't have to feel alone. And I think a lot of us solopreneurs, entrepreneurs with, 2 or 3 contractors maybe, and I'm one. My contractors are stretched all the way from the West Coast to South Africa, and makes it sound like I've got hundreds of thousands of them. No, it's 10 or so, but we are spread all over the place. And so the community aspect, when I'm really just sitting here by myself, typically at home most of the time, it's nice to feel like I'm part of a community. So it does give you the opportunity to do some collaborations, and we're going to talk more about that. But there's some very tactical, specific things where you can get exposure for your business. First of all, they have newsletters. Ours comes out weekly. There are announcements that you can place in that newsletter. Like a lot of newsletters, you have to pay. If you're a chamber member, you don't. That's included with your membership. You can get included in spotlights. Our chamber has a thing called Members Newsroom, which is a place where you can host your news releases, which is fascinating. So it's online. Other people can stumble across it, but you can also point to it if you're trying to share that information. The website, as I talked about, has the membership directory on it. Ours has hundreds of searches per month. Of course, there's social media. So if you qualify as a spotlight, or there's something special you're celebrating, you might wind up in your chamber's social media feed. And then another one that I think is really cool, and I know a number of chambers do this, is they celebrate groundbreakings and ribbon cutting ceremonies. So pre-COVID, they were going out and literally physically being on ground when people were cutting ribbons or putting the shovel in the dirt, and starting to build something. Another couple of things, networking events, both online and in person. We've got something here called After Hours and Member Mondays. So the Member Mondays are sort of lunch and learns where members are allowed to come online or in person and make presentations. Freebies and discounts. This is another cool one. You can get RX, prescription discounts. Office Depot is one that our local chamber offers, and I have to put in a pitch for the University of Virginia Cavaliers. And as a member of the chamber, I have access to ticket offers through the chamber. Roundtables and committees, leadership and growth growth training. We've got something here that's really amazing called Leadership Charlottesville. And then, of course, I've touched on this a minute ago, and just the last couple here I thought were important, is that being a chamber member really does give you a branding lift as well as an authority building lift. So if you can put on your website that you're a member of your local chamber, you're telling people that you care about your community, you're a member of your community, and it's attractive to other people who are looking for whatever type of service that you offer. So the last one is for a lot of people looking for grants and funding access, your chamber can help you with that. So that's a pretty amazing list of benefits.
I'll say, and one that really kind of resonated with me is like the funding, connections. You got to keep in mind that there's 6 degrees of separation, right? So how many people in that room, I'll say room, meaning
Right.
how in the organization or the membership, know somebody you might need to know. Or even if they don't need your service or your, whatever it is that you're doing, someone else that they know might need it. So that's a fascinating thing. And I know. So can you share a couple of examples of maybe business that you've created? Hold back our big story for now, but like other types of business that you might have created by being a member of the Chamber of Commerce, like for your web design company or whatever stories you want to share.
Yeah, I haven't really pushed the web design component too much in the chamber. And honestly, that is something I need to kind of get off my butt and push a little bit more. And like you say, I think there's some key things that you should be doing as a business. For my web design business, having a Google, I'm still stumbling over the terms. It used to be Google My Business Profile, but Google Business Profile is what they're calling it now. But being a chamber member and really working on it, going to the events and taking advantage of all the opportunities, I think is something that I'm going to put on my agenda for 2022 on the digital marketing side. I call myself a digital marketing guy instead of just a website guy because we do all the things, social media marketing and all that. And as you say, especially with COVID and people trying to get back on their feet, they're looking for services like a lot of us offer, but you've got to have visibility. Mm-hmm. So if you get involved with your chamber, then your visibility is going to go up.
Yeah, and one of the great things is they're always looking for people to come and share their knowledge.
Yeah.
So, you guys have what was it, Monday? Is it on Monday?
Members Monday. It's a lunch and learn kind of thing.
Yes. So Members Monday, where, you could pitch to your local chamber that you could help them, whatever, fill in the blank, right? And then you do a training. And if they're intrigued enough and they I need this, you can offer, they'll let you know, trust me, they'll line up after you finish speaking and they're going to want to know, here's my card, call me, whatever, because they're interested in having the service or whatever you shared with them done for them, because most of these are busy people. They're busy business owners and they don't have the time to do it themselves, but they know it needs to be done.
Right.
So they're willing to invest in hiring somebody to get it done. Yeah. So, and how many, in social media, we're out there trying to convince somebody constantly that we have the knowledge that they need when, mm-hmm. If you could just, show up at your local Chamber of Commerce one Monday, I'm just using your example, deliver the goodies, wow the crowd, so to speak, and you leads would be dropping into your lap, and
Right.
then you of course would have to sell them on whatever it is that you have. But it's a golden opportunity, and I don't think a lot of people are doing it. So I'm excited that we're talking about this today, Chuck. In fact, when we first started talking about this, knowing that you were going to pitch the Chamber of Commerce for your new program, which is kind of I'm going to shift the dynamic a little bit here,
Mhm.
because you have a powerful story around putting together a package deal, so and you presented it to the Chamber of Commerce. So can you tell us a little bit about it on the outset? Maybe paint the vision of what your program is all about,
Mhm.
why you felt the chamber members needed it, and then we'll dig in a little bit into what you actually pitched them.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, Kim's referring to a course that I developed. It came out of a training that I did for a state association last March. I was asked to create a training to show people how to create better quality videos with their smartphones and iPads. And one thing led to another. The first organization that asked me about creating that training introduced me to the state association, and they combined some funds, and I did a training over 3 days. It was short, hour and a half per day, something like that. And so I turned that into a course and put it up on a learning management system, and it just kind of sat there. I kind of really couldn't figure out why people wouldn't want to learn more about how to create marketing and educational videos with their smartphones, but honestly, it just pretty much sat there. So yes, I could have done more to drive traffic to it and those kind of things, but it really languished until this new connection that I'm making with the chamber.
And you had so this is why I feel like that the whole course space is a little bit broken.
Mm-hmm.
Your knowledge is something so many people need, as well as all of you that are listening or watching, or even listening or watching on the replay.
Yeah.
You have knowledge that people need, that someone out there needs and is willing to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to put it in front of those people, and you have to package it in such a way that they feel they're going to get the value proposition from it. So we've all done the courses. Amen, right? We've
Oh
all done
yeah.
the courses. So we bought the courses. We thought we were going to get the result. We bought them, but we never go through them. Or even if we go through them, we don't take the action because we don't necessarily believe we're going to have the same outcome that the person who sold it to us did.
Right.
Or we're looking at this training, and you're like, well, this doesn't really fit my business exactly, and how do I get this to work for my business? But there's nobody to ask, because you just
Mm-hmm.
have that you just bought the course. It's a DIYer, it's a do it yourself, figure it out yourself. That's what I should call it. Figure it out yourself. Thanks for your money, go figure it out yourself.
I like that. You really should use that, Kim. That's
Yeah,
great.
right.
Yeah.
FIY,
Figure
then
it.
figure it out yourself,
Well, yeah.
instead of DIY.
FIY.
But that's what traditional courses, online courses have been. I've been a part of that problem. I've sold courses now for years in the online space, but I think we've all got to that place where we realize that the knowledge alone is not enough anymore. We need community. We need a guide. We need somebody there to help us implement what it was that we paid for, whatever that transformation is that is going to solve a problem that we have. So that is where Chuck was. He was like, okay, here's my course. Nobody's behind it. Why? So he had to repackage it. He had to make it more appealing. He
Mm-hmm.
had to fill the holes of what a traditional course no longer offers. There was no community. There was no guide. It was like, go here it is. Go figure it out. I mean, even when he tried to give it away, the beta people wouldn't come back and give him any feedback, right?
No, that's true.
So he had to come up with a new model. So he is, like I shared at the beginning of the show, he is a student in my new Design to Scale program, and that program is designed to help you take what you know and repackage it and ultimately make it more appealing to your buyer and then your perfect person. and charge more for it at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So, so you took what you learned through this, like I got the course.
Right.
It ain't working. Like I got it. You repackaged it. Talk about that a little bit. What did it look like after you decided? What did you add to it? Maybe that's a better way of saying it. What did
Yeah.
you add to it to make it more appealing?
Yeah, great question. I have to put a big red line underneath what you just said, Kim, about how many of us, and I'm certainly in this camp, have bought things and paid for the upsell and all that stuff and never even gone back once to look at it because it either doesn't fit or I got busy or whatever. And I think the statistic is really pretty dismal that something like it's in the single digits of people who actually complete courses. So all of you out there who feel like you have bought a course of some kind of training, gotten into a group, and you just move on, you're busy doing other things, you are not alone. This is a huge problem, I think. And I really am grateful to Kim and Rhonda for inviting me into this Design to Scale community because I'm learning a whole lot. So basically, to answer your question, Kim, what I've added back is me. So, and a community. So those were the two things that were missing because I actually did a survey. I've got a number of responses. And one of the questions that I asked was what kind of importance would you put on having a guide, to have someone show up weekly to train you and teach you and ask you and answer questions? And it was really interesting. I think somewhere around 15% of the respondents that I've got so far said, I'm good. I'm good at finishing courses. If I'm interested in this, I'll buy it and I'll do it on my own. 15%. The balance, 85%, either said, yes, it would be helpful to have a guide, or 50% of that 85% said it would make a tremendous difference to have someone that I could go to have this guide, to have someone who is meeting me where I'm needed. So when you take the guide, the person that knows what they're talking about, and all of you watching this, like as Kim said, you know what you're talking about. You have built up an incredible knowledge base. It's just a matter of formulating it into something that really is a package that you can approach the right people with. So I'm very much in the development stages of this. As Kim says, we're all doing it messy a little bit. And I've informed my new partners that that's how it's going to be in the beginning. And I haven't had any pushback. I'm building this. It's a little bit like building the airplane while you fly it. But I'm excited about the opportunity and the response that I'm getting from people that I talk to about this.
Which leads to exactly the next piece of this is you approached your local chamber of commerce with an offer. And you explained what it was and so one, you could, if you want to tell the story, but I really am after the question I have is what made them decide to say yes?
Yeah, that was really interesting. Well, my top recommendation is if you're going to approach a chamber of commerce, and this could be said for a lot of different types of groups, is join the group. Get off your butt, join the group, get involved to some extent if you can, because if you're an outsider looking in and you're trying to knock on the door and say, I'm sorry, I'm not a member of your group, I haven't paid my dues, but I really would like to pitch you this thing, you're going to get a cold shoulder. It's just, obviously it's human nature, and they want to support people who are already inside the group. So my first thing that I did was join the chamber, spent the money. And then I was introduced to the executive when she not long after she got here and not long after I developed a separate training, we had a really nice Zoom together and got to know each other personally. And obviously that's a key thing. But when I got this course together, I thought, wow, this is really something that the chamber members could resonate with and buy. And so obviously what I was looking for was a mechanism through which I could go to expand and amplify what I wanted to sell through an organization. So if I can convince one organization to back me, then they've got members that they could, endorse and partner with me and help push whatever it is that I'm selling out there. So the amazing thing that happened was I was in a Zoom with the CEO and president, and it was just she and I, and we were talking, and I was talking to her about the course. We were talking about the need for businesses to create videos on their own. We talked about the fact that having a professional video crew come in is expensive, but sometimes it really does make sense. But you're looking at, $1,000 a minute of finished video. So a three-minute video is going to set you back $3,000. So we were kind of kicking around that whole thing. She was talking about recruitment and retention and how it is that having a video would be so much better than doing sort of a Zoom. Like if I was trying to recruit you right now, Kim, or anyone in the audience, you can't get any sense of the culture of working with me because I'm on Zoom, or in this case, I'm on Restream. So having a video really would help recruitment. So we're kind of kicking all that stuff around, and we were talking about the course, and she was nodding and thinking that sounded like a pretty good idea. And then I said the magical words. I said, well, you know what I'm thinking about doing? I'm thinking about pivoting to a new way of presenting my course where I'm going to add myself back in and add a community. And the dynamic just flipped in that conversation. She was very receptive, let's say, to that idea. She just thought it just resonated with her right off. And that now has led to, some emails back and forth, and then a pitch deck that I put together and presented to her executive committee just a couple of weeks ago. And we're now off and running. We're partners, and we're going to build this thing together and offer it through the chamber to the chamber's membership, hopefully launching in March of this year.
And that is incredible. And I personally think that, again, I said it just a moment ago, but I feel like there's so many of us that have tried to just buy the knowledge. And then the implementation piece, sometimes it's tech, sometimes it's, not seeing how it matches up exactly to your business. Sometimes I think it's even the creativity of trying to take that strategy and put it into your business. I think that's usually more the case. And, I think so many people have done that already, and they're realizing, hey, that's not enough. If I had somebody that would, I could ask my questions to, I don't even think the Facebook groups are deep enough, where you really have to get to a place where, they have direct access to the expert,
right?
Where they can ask their questions. And I think when everybody that I am actually talking to about this, similarly to you, is like, OMG, that is the answer. If I could, Kim, if I could come and I could ask you my questions every week, that's what I want, because I've tried this before. I've tried to do what a XYZ, and I think it's a game changer. And then understanding that there's a lot of people just like us in the same boat, having that community. I've said for years, I heard it from my Ryan Dice years ago. He said, people will buy content, but they stay for community. And I mean, that's you're basically tapping into a built-in community of your buyers. All those people are small business owners who know they need video, and to your point, extremely expensive if they were to hire it done themselves. But if you could teach them how to create a series of videos that would make a huge difference in their business using the smartphone.
Oh, really? You have one too?
Right here, right beside me, right? Always. So, and so does everyone else. I mean, I think it was last week I asked a few people. I asked in my show, I was like, "Do you know anybody that doesn't have a smartphone?" There was actually a few people that said they did, but I was like,
Really?
I mean, I don't know anyone that doesn't have a smartphone. So the difference between that expense of learning how to do it yourself, it's not just learning how to do it yourself. So Chuck is going to come alongside them and, give them feedback on their videos. He's going to, all the things like, okay, well, I can't make and I promise you, you'll get this. Well, like, how do I record myself? Like, they were not going to know how to flip their camera, right?
Right.
So there's going to be all kinds of questions that in some cases people don't, it's not you make the assumption sometimes in training that people know things that they just don't.
Yeah.
But having a guide is such a powerful thing, whether you want to call it a coach, a guide, a mentor, whatever. But that's the flip. That is the dynamic. And I think that's, to your point, exactly why they said yes. So the good news is, so I'm just going to sum it up real quick. The good news is Chuck had a membership in his local chamber of commerce. He pitched them with an idea based on a conversation that he had. And they said yes. Now they're getting, before the first part of March, they're going to approach all the members inside of the Chamber of Commerce with the opportunity to work directly with Chuck, get the knowledge, but get the hands-on access to him, and have a community of people just like them. So it's going to be a fascinating. We're gonna bring Chuck back in a few months to get the rest of the story. But like, isn't this amazing? And the best part is, Chuck, can anybody do this?
Yeah, anybody can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know more, as they say, if you know 10% more than the market that you're trying to approach, you're an expert.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I highly recommend Kim's Design to Scale leverage program that I'm in. I've learned so much. And honestly, the biggest thing is access to Kim. It's access to you, Kim.
And the same will be for you. Like any knowledge base that you have, the real value is your participation in the equation, because that's where people are going to learn. The fascinating thing to me, and I've probably created 200 courses in my over the past probably 8 to 10 years, and it is always so disappointing to me when I go look at, watch time on videos, or like, how much progress they've made, because nobody watches the content. We as creators, and educators, we spend so much time perfecting the content, and you got to have it, because that's what people, they feel like they're not going to get anything if they don't have it. But the real value, truly, I think, and I think that's why the dynamic in the course space is changing, is we're going to have to realize that we have great knowledge, but we're going to have to be present, so we can be their guide.
It's really true. Yeah, it's interesting. It just popped into my head listening to you there, Kim, that when I think back over my career, which stretches back a good ways at this point, when I think about the high points and sort of the demarcation points where I moved in knowledge, I always say to myself that I had 3 mentors. And when I think about it, that's exactly what we're talking about. I had a guy that got me off the ground in New York, working in a newspaper facility. Went from him to a guy where we were designing packaging for national brands. So my learning went way up. Next guy was a guy that trained me in exhibit design. So all 3 of those, when I think back, it wasn't just the knowledge, it was access. It was the fact that I was able to talk to those 3 guys individually and not collectively, because they were sequential. But that's where I attribute the basis of the knowledge I bring to digital marketing today.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I've shared this privately with the Design to Scale students, but all of the big shifts that have happened in my business have been as a result of direct access to a mentor, in a mastermind of some sort, or, somewhere where I had, like a lot of times when I want to know something new, I just go directly to the source, like, and can I spend, whatever the price is on a VIP day or whatever, because I want to know, I want to cram as much as I can, but I'm also in that place of, it's a limited time period, and I know I only have so much time. So I'm getting the knowledge, but I'm really not getting much more than that. But I do have that direct access. I can ask my own personal questions. The shift, I think, for us as educators in the course space is that you're giving your students access to you for a protracted period of time. It's not a VIP day. It's a, as they progress through the transformation, they continue to have some access to you. So it's a fascinating shift, and I think we're going to see more and more of it. If you are a course creator and you're like, or if you've wanted to create a course and you're just at that place, well, then, if you would like to see if the design of scales for you, feel free to book a call. I think it's kimgarst.com/game plan call. We'll decide if, you can decide if it's something for you. But I deviated a little bit. Chuck, I'm super proud for you. I think this is going to be an amazing thing. Can you let everybody know where they can connect with you? I know a lot of people that watch routinely already know who you are, but for people who have no clue who you are, how they can connect with you, the value that you could bring to them, can you share a little bit about how they can find you, connect with you, get more information about you?
Yeah, well, especially since this is a brand new thing, and you can help me get it off the ground and get in on the beginning of it, and learn as I learn, is head over to onlinevideomastery.com. That's onlinevideomastery.com. And you'll get an idea of what my pivoting is all about, what the course content is going to be about. And you can sign up there to get on the list so that I can provide updates as I start to build this out. One thing that's really important to understand is that just because I'm starting this with this chamber, I'm actually also reaching out to additional chambers, and the course and the training and all of the community is going to be open to anyone, right up to the point where I can't handle any more people. The community is going to be free, and you can sign up at onlinevideomastery.com to learn more about the community as I build it. So that would be the primary place I'd like to have people go. And for my digital marketing side, it is baldguystudio.com. And I say studio singular because if you put an S on it, you will see that that's not me. I'll just leave it at that.
But is that not like the perfect name, right? Bald Guy Studio.
Yeah, that's my brand. I got to protect it.
I love it. I've loved it. I mean, Chuck and I didn't say this on the front side, but which is something I usually do, but we've known each other how long? Like we met at Social Media Marketing World years ago.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll send you these assets as soon as I can dig them up again. But I think we met at Social Media Marketing World in 2015. I bought your book, which is not on the corner of this desk, but I have it nearby. And I got you. I think I bought 2 copies. This is the way I'm putting it back together. I think I bought 2 copies, asked you to autograph one for me, and then also write something nice in the other one. And then when I went to Social Boom in Chicago, I actually have a video I just found the other day of me recording you picking a number from 1 to 121 so I could give that second book away. So yeah, you and I go back a ways, and it's always been around fun and marketing and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so blessed to have connected with you, and all of you guys will be so blessed. He's the real deal, and he's he's my kind of people. I just say so. A lot of you who follow me for any period of time, I just love people who are heart-based, servant-hearted, and really care about those that they serve. And that is definitely Chuck. Well, thank you, Chuck, for being with us. Always appreciate you so much. So you guys can put your hands together for Chuck, and also want to say and put my hands together for all of you guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Time's valuable. I know when you spend it with us, we just want you to know how much we appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kim.